Today I'm going to be changing the valve cover gasket on the M54 engine. This is a 3-liter M54 on a 2001 530i, but it also applies to the 325s, 525s, the 330s, and the 530s. So first let's remove these covers. Take a 10mm to remove this protective cover here. We'll take a flathead screwdriver and carefully remove the clips on that air intake. This is the air intake that allows air to go into the HVAC box and blow into the car. Now we'll just rotate this towards the driver's side and then pull it towards us. Remove the oil cap. And just carefully lift this cover out of the way. After we've removed this first cover, I always like to put the oil cap back on, just in case we drop anything in there. That would be a nightmare to drop a nut or a bolt in here, so let's just close that up for peace of mind. Now, to remove some of these other bolts, we're going to need to remove this. So let's take our flathead and remove the rest of these clips. Again, we have another 10mm bolt here and here. The next item that we want to remove, so that we can remove the valve cover when the time comes, is to remove this tube which goes to the crankcase ventilation valve. Now if your tube here hasn't been replaced or it's old and brittle, there's a good likelihood that you're going to break this and it will be snapped off. And you'll have to then go and order a new tube and replace it. So be very careful with yours. If it's old and brittle, expect to have to replace it. What we're going to do is just carefully squeeze the clips here and wiggle it until it's disconnected. The next thing I like to do here is just remove all of the coil packs. Take a flathead screwdriver and loosen up each clip. Unplug each of the coil packs. The next thing we want to do is remove this ground wire, which is holding our cable back. There's an 8mm bolt right in here. For the next step, we're going to take a 10mm and take out all of these bolts. There's 2 per coil pack, or 12 in total. As you can see, we have taken off the valve cover, and the valve cover on this car actually had some cracks in it, and that is a common problem when you have a crankcase ventilation valve that goes bad. What happened on this car is the oil dipstick tube was clogged with debris, and that ended up in turn damaging the crankcase ventilation valve, so it was completely not functioning. So what happens is that crankcase valve was creating a really strong vacuum, and it's enough to cause pressure that cracks the valve cover itself. Now if you guys were wondering about the crack in the old valve cover, right here is where the crack occurred. A crack such as this one can actually create enough of a vacuum leak that will give you a rough idle on the car. So here is the BMW part number for the valve cover in case anyone is wondering. Unfortunately, this part is about $320 at a wholesale cost or an online cost, and retail is closer to $400. This is what a $300 or $400 valve cover looks like. This is brand new, and the nice thing is, when you order a new valve cover, it actually comes with the valve cover gaskets already pre-installed here. So that saves you like a whole $25. So the next thing we need to do is put all of these bolts back on all the way around. We're going to slowly torque these down in a crisscross pattern so we don't over tighten anything or pinch any of the gaskets. Then we're going to install each of the coil packs back on here and replace the vanity covers that say BMW on the top. Alright guys, so we're down to the last step. We have to just put the cover back on. Remove the oil cap first. And what you want to do is align these studs that the nuts go on. Alright guys, well that's pretty much it. Now you know how to change the valve cover gasket and or valve cover on this car. I hope this helped you out. If it did, please give me a thumbs up or comment below and let me know what car you're working on this weekend.